If you want to start creating low and no content books on Amazon KDP, but you don't know where to start, in this video we cover the whole process, step by step, from start to finish. Hello and welcome to or back to Passive Income Templates. My name is Laura, and if you follow along to the end of this video, you will have your very first product uploaded and submitted for review. In this video, we're going to be creating a simple paperback 8.5 by 11 notebook with a lined interior. What you're looking at here is the cover that I've created in Canva. We will circle back to this in a moment. I will show you exactly how to create this design. But if you haven't already, I really recommend signing up for an account. You can get started for free with Canva, and you can find that link in the description. So let's get started with creating our interior. This is the Set Trim Size, Bleed, and Margins page on Amazon KDP. And if you're a visual person like me, this is a really handy guide to have, especially when it comes to figuring out the size of your interior. So there are two options when it comes to creating your interior pages. You can create pages with no bleed, which means that they will have white elements all around the sides, and you will not be able to have pictures or other elements extend beyond the sides of the page. Or you can create pages with bleed, and you can see you can have much bigger images. So that may be something that you want to take into consideration when it comes to creating your designs. Even in the case of creating lined notebooks and journals, you can have lines that stay within the parameters of these margins, and with bleed you can go from here to here, and it'll be much easier when we create these interiors ourselves. So stick with me. So like I said, these are the two options here. We're going to be creating an 8.5 by 11 page, but you need to take the bleed, whether you choose to use it or not, into consideration. So let's get started with this 8.5 by 11 size. I'm going to plug those exact dimensions into Canva. Here they are, ready to go, 8.5 by 11. Make sure you switch over from pixels to inches when you're inputting these numbers. And let's create new design. So let's just 8.5 by 11, no bleed, give this document a new title. And here we are. So we can see here on the left, we've got lines and shapes. I'm going to pop in one of these. I'm going to make the line weight a little bit lighter. You might even want to go lighter than that, but for the purposes of this video, just so that you can see the lines, I'm going to keep it like that, and maybe even a little bit darker. So here you can see I've dragged this line all the way up to this margin that Canva provides you. You can see it's centered, and it's within this within the parameters of this page. And I'm just going to copy and paste that, and I have another line there at the bottom. So to keep it as simple as possible for filling in the rest of the lines in between, I'm just going to copy and then paste. Do a bunch of them here. Don't worry if it looks like a mess, just trust the process. And then because I've placed this top line and this bottom line, I'm going to be able to tidy it up based on the position of this top line and bottom line here. So I'm going to I'm shift selecting all of them, and then I'm going to go to position, tidy up, and while they're still selected, I'm going to pop them back into place there. So there we have it. Our lined journal is complete, and I'm just going to duplicate this page maybe a couple of times. Something to keep in mind is that Canva will only allow you to create 100 pages at a time. Here I'm just shift selecting the pages that I want to duplicate. So what you will need to do is download as many pages as you want and stitch them together, which we will do in a second. I will show you how to do that. if you want to get up to 200 or 150 or however many pages you want to create. So let me just go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to download these 20 pages. Always make sure that you select PDF print, and I'm going to download those. And now I'm going to get myself all the way up to 100 pages. So what we will have is a 120 page notebook. So you can see here I've got all the way up to 100 pages. And I'm going to do the same thing again, download, PDF print, 100 pages, download. I just put in pdfjoiner.com. This is a really handy tool for stitching together pages. I use it all the time. You can also do a ton of other things in this program. I just use it a lot for stitching together KDP pages that I need to go together that go beyond the limits of what Canva lets you create. So this is my 20 pages plus 100 pages, and I'm just going to go ahead and click Join Files, and they will be stitched together as a PDF. So when it comes to creating our 8.5 by 11 notebook with bleed, we're going to need to input these sizes into Canva. So we've got 8.625 width and 11.25 height. Again, remember to switch over from pixels to inches. That's very important. So we're going to have 8.5 by 11 with bleed. And when it comes to creating this way, you have so many more options. Just going to keep the lines a little bit thicker for the purposes of this video. So what you can do is this option gives you a little bit more space to play within. So you actually can extend your lines to the end of the pages and beyond, and they will print just like that. And the same goes for elements. So you could have an element that comes right off the side of the page, and a little teeny tiny little bit of this page will be trimmed off, but for the most part your element will be there and visible, and it's not going to have a big old white margin. So when it comes to creating a very simple notebook, I'm just going to do the same that I did for the no bleed style. Copy and paste, 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 paste. Don't worry if it looks messy, just trust the process. And then go to position. I'm shift selecting all the ones that I want to select together, and then tidy up. Just making sure that's nice and centered. And just for the sake of this no bleed, let's add in, it's fall. Let's put some fall leaves on. I like when I'm able to change the colors. I've mentioned this in a previous video. I like to make sure that my black and white elements are actually black and white if that's what I'm doing in a book, just so that people don't get confused. Of course, you can create your own interiors with color, but for the sake of this notebook, let's just go with this. And of course, these lines are really looking heavy. You might want to make them a little bit lighter, but just for the purposes of visibility in this video, I'm going to keep them like that. So, and just like I did with my no bleed pages, I'm just going to duplicate what I want. I'm pressing Shift and selecting the pages that I want, and let's get up to 20. I'm just going to create a 120 page notebook, so I'm going to go PDF print, download those, and then again shift select, shift select all of the pages, and let's get up to 100. And there we are. Download, print PDF, and now we need to stitch them together. This is another really handy tool from Kindle Direct Publishing that I stumbled upon actually when I was creating hardcover books. That's a completely different video for another time, but let's use this to create our paperback cover. So what we're doing paperback. Let's do black and white. You could also do premium or standard color. Keep in mind that's a little bit more costly. Paper type, let's go with white. Page turn direction, this will only be available in certain markets, so just go with left to right. And measurement units, we've got inches, and then we want to select the corresponding size. We created, whether you did bleed or no bleed, you're going to want to select 8.5 by 11. And of course, input your page count. And every time you change the page count, you're going to want to create a new cover template because that will impact the width of the spine. So we've got 120 paperback. This is the width and height we need to plug into Canva. So let's do 17.52 by 11.25. And while we're at it, let's also download the template just so that we have a sense of where everything is going to go and where our barcode will need to be. So here in Canva, let's plug in this, and we've got 11.25. Again, make sure that you're in inches and not pixels. So when it comes to creating a really nice and easy cover, what you can do is search something like, oops, not in templates, in search in elements for pattern, or even like a tiled pattern, because any of these that you choose will be able to, I don't know why that's blank, will be designed to butt up against one another, and you'll be able to create a really nice, beautiful, seamless pattern. Let's find the one that I did before. This looks like it here, this modern pattern. And then it's really just a matter of arranging it exactly how you would like. I'm copying and pasting, and because it's tiled, you can see it fits together. Oops. Fits together perfectly. This little teeny tiny little bit of this end here fits perfectly with this image. So I'm just going to copy paste again. I'm going to select all three of these, group, and then copy paste, and just complete the pattern there. And maybe even just arrange it so that it looks nice. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. And I put a white rectangle. I'll show you how to position it nicely in a moment. And I put text that said, just using this pre-made grouping of text here from Canva, notebook, and whatever I said before, lined pages. So this is your cover, but you need to know where to put things so that they're going to be perfectly centered. You don't want to have your cover looking off to the side or just out of place. So what we need to do, and one of my favorite tips, is to import the cover template that we downloaded. And just like to make this as big as my document, and what I do is I make it a little bit smaller. Otherwise, sometimes Canva wants to make it your entire background. So you can see that this is where our barcode will be, this is where the spine area will be, and what you want to do is create within these, let me bring this forward, just let me make this yellow so we can see it nice and easy. Create within these orange lines here. So this is how I make my designs nice and centered. And I'm just going to copy paste, get my little yellow or my little white text box back. And when I move it, I'm able to see this is in the right position because this is centered with the yellow element. And now I'm just going to move that into place wherever I would like it to be. And now I can just go ahead and delete out this guide. If you'd like, another easy option is to just input a background of some kind. There's so many that Canva provides for you. There's tons of options, and you can do a lot when it comes to changing the colors and just making it however you'd like. So let's go with this, and once again we're just going to go to download, PDF print, and hit download. For the sake of keeping this video short and straightforward, I'm not going to go into any of the strategy behind optimizing your titles, subtitles, and 7 backend keywords, etc., because there are plenty of other videos on my channel if you're interested in that. This video is mostly about getting you familiar with the process of creating and uploading. Otherwise, it would be very, very long. So to create your paperback book, what you're going to want to do is press this paperback option. I will have a video coming soon about hardcover, and that's a bit of a different process. There are different templates to work with, but that's something to consider. So we're going to go ahead and click paperback. Like I said, this is by no means optimized, so I'm just going to fill in lined notebook. I'm just going to leave the subtitle blank for now. You will want to fill this in with your keywords. You can skip over series if you want to make an entire series of books. Go ahead and feel free to do that. Same goes for edition number. You do need to fill in an author name, so I'm just going to put in, I don't know, Notebook Design Studio. I'm going to skip over contributors. I'm going to just fill in this description like this for now. If you do want an entire video dedicated to descriptions, I have a very in-depth video all about that, so I will link that above. For the sake of this, what you'd mostly want to do is list a short description and fill in a couple features. So 8.5 by 11 lined notebook for school. Benefits, features, that's a very, very basic kind of description. Verify that you do in fact own the rights to whatever it is that you're publishing. The images, you really want to be careful when it comes to copyrighted characters and intellectual property that just does not belong to you. You want to go ahead and fill in your 7 keywords. This will come from your keyword research. I will show you how to do that in another video. And choose your categories, and of course select that your book does not contain adult content if it does not in fact contain adult content. And I'm going to hit save and continue, and we're on to the second step. You're going to want to go ahead and click get a free KDP ISBN. Of course, if you have your own, go ahead and do that. You can skip over publication date. Now keep in mind, when we created our cover template, we selected black and white, and These different kinds of paper types have a little bit of different thickness, so you want to stick with what you originally chose, or else you may encounter an error. And to need to change our size to match our interior and our cover, so that's an 8.5 by 11 design. You need to select no bleed or bleed based on what you created, the kind of interior you created, and then choose matte or glossy. So I'm going to go ahead and upload my no bleed manuscript and fill in the cover. You can use the second option here if you created your cover like I did in Canva, and I will be right back. Now that we can see the manuscript and the cover have both been uploaded successfully as indicated by these green boxes, I'm going to go ahead and press launch previewer. This may take a couple minutes, so go ahead and do something else and come back. I will let you know when these are ready. And just like that, our notebook is complete. One thing I forgot to mention is that you will want to include the name of your notebook on either the cover or the spine. And when it comes to being on the spine, you can have text that's as small as 7.5. Just something to keep in mind with your titles. As you can see, there are no errors that are popping up, which is great. And we can preview our 120-page book. This is the no bleed size that I created. The cover is just taking a minute to load over here. Don't worry too much about that. And once that all looks good, we can go ahead and press approve and move on to the third and final step in uploading our book. It's the paperback rights and pricing. So let's just go ahead and save and continue. And go ahead and select all territories unless you would like to only publish in individual territories. I generally leave the primary marketplace to Amazon.com. And when it comes to filling in the price, you'll see that a pretty popular option is $6.99, and that will give you a royalty of $1.90 because the printing costs are factored into that. And don't worry about ticking off expanded distribution. You can read more about the kinds of books that Amazon will and will not accept with that option. And just like that, you are ready to submit your paperback book. It will take about 72 hours for Amazon to review and come to a decision about your book. It generally happens pretty quickly. They will send you an email once it has been published and it is live on all of their e-commerce platforms. Something to note is that there are already hundreds of thousands of these kinds of very simple notebooks that have been uploaded to Amazon KDP. It's a very competitive space. I don't recommend putting all of your focus here, but it is a great place to get started so that you are familiar with the process of creating low and no content books. Like I said before, this video really only touches on the basics of creating and uploading, so there's a lot more that you can dive into in terms of strategy, niches, titles, keywords, and even pricing your titles. I hope this takes some of the confusion out of creating your first few Amazon KDP books and it familiarized you with the uploading process. Of course, I will do my best to answer all of your questions in the comments below, but hopefully following along helped to eliminate the many errors that can come up when you're very first getting started, because I know those can be really discouraging. I hope your first title brings you success, but if it doesn't, don't worry. Keep creating, keep researching profitable niches, and finding keywords that will help you make passive income with print on demand. It takes time and patience and practice, and you will get better and more comfortable the more you familiarize yourself with the process. You're creating your own books for Amazon KDP. Another option, of course, you have is to download pre-made templates. I've created a bunch of them in my Gumroad shop. You can find the link in the description. Here's an example of a dot grid paper bundle. There are 3 different sizes of dots. which you can use with 8.5 by 11 paper. Make sure you select with bleed. There's also a 6 by 9 size in here with this one. I've also created a Cornell notebook bundle. There's graph, there's lined, and there's a music sheet, all for 8.5 by 11 with bleed. And you can also choose to download the graph paper bundle, which I've got 3 sizes of graph paper grids, also 8.5 by 11. You can also use 6 by 9 for creating journals of this size. Lots of different options when it comes to creating your own no and low content books for Amazon KDP. If you found value in this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more tips, tutorials, and templates for making passive income with print on demand. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.